Superintendent's report, Mr. Ryder.
Yes, good evening. I'd like to start off tonight by letting the board and our interested public know that we continue to be in the business of cleaning and repairing and preparing our schools, if you will, for next month. We'll be here before we know it. Melissa and I are attending an Equity and Excellence in Education conference, which is being held in Abington at Abington High School. That was today and tomorrow. And at that conference, we're actually meeting with a lot of district officials from the Philadelphia area, Greater Lehigh Valley, and Delaware Valley areas, related to issues of diversity and equity. And that's equity in terms of not just looking at it by groups of individuals, but collectively looking at opportunities to provide more educational opportunities for all students who enter our schools. So it's been a very interesting conference so far. We were able to link into several very dynamic individuals today, and we're going back tomorrow for the second part of it. I spoke to the Palmer Kiwanis Club last week, and had an interesting experience with them with breakfast, trying to share with them some of the happenings that are occurring in our schools and some of the ways that our schools are transitioning, if you will, into institutions that better reflect who we are and our society and some of the technological advances that we have. Next week, the superintendent of the Harrisburg School District is going to pay a visit here to ask us specifically about the Communities in Schools program that we have at the high school and the middle school. So I'll be very happy to greet her and whoever comes with her to talk about that. And I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Mr. Sanoa, who's here tonight to talk to the board about the most recent fundraiser that the band is undertaking. And I should also mention to the board and to the public that we were very happy to once again have a band camp this summer, thanks to our music department and their willingness and offering their services to our students in developing their musical interests. So it's been a good summer once again for the students at Easton and the music program.
Thank you, Mr. Reinhardt, Mr. Hinterbohn, school board members, district administrators. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you for a few minutes this evening about our high school band. My name is Paul Sanoa, and as some of you may know, I'm a fourth grade teacher in the school district at Tracy Elementary School and have been for the past 17 years. I'm also a member of the Instrumental Music Association, which is the fundraising organization of the high school band. We consist of parents of the students in the band, and our main objective really is to provide organizational and financial support for the high school instrumental department. I currently have a daughter who's a clarinet player in the band as a sophomore, and I brought my son Tim with me this evening. He just graduated in June and was a member of the high school band for the past 4 years. So what I'd like to share with you tonight, as Mr. Reinhardt mentioned, is an exciting information about a fundraiser we're doing called March for Music. And we're going to be having it at the high school on Saturday, August 8th. So let me just give you a little bit of history. Over the years, Ms. Carol Luddy, our band director, has developed a really positive relationship with an organization called YEA, and that's Youth Education in the Arts. And some of the things that she's done with them is they've run instructors to the high school to work with our students. And over the years, she's just developed a really good relationship with them. Well, a new component of YEA, which started last year, is called March for Music. And it's the first of its kind cooperative fundraising partnership between high school music programs and the U.S. bands portion of YA, which really then supports music education in communities across America. So the IMA, the parents, are working closely with Ms. Luddy to organize this fundraiser on March for Music fundraiser on August 8th. So let me tell you a little bit about what it's going to be. It's really going to be a march-a-thon. So on the track from 10 to 2, our high school band students are going to be raising money, which they're trying to raise money from family and friends that are supporting them. So during those 4 hours, the band students are going to be split up kind of into different teams based on the instruments they play, walk laps around the track to raise these funds for their music program. And it's going to be kind of a fun day because students can wear costumes, they can wear matching shirts, and while they're not walking, they will be inside the track doing different activities, maybe ultimate frisbee, kickball, hula hooping, and things like that. So kind of a march-a-thon kind of atmosphere. Now, one of the things that Ms. Luddy really wanted to do was really try to make it a community event. So the IMA is really working hard to create this carnival, and it's going to be taking place at the same time, kind of on the marching band field and the road between the track and the marching band field there. So we're going to have lots of food, music, fun, things like that. We have some moon bounces for kids. We're going to have some carnival games. There's going to be food like hot dogs and stuff like that. Kona Ice will be joining us on that day. And as many of you know, Kona Ice is a great community partner because they will give us some of their sales from that day to our music program. 99 The Hawk's going to be there with their band and broadcasting live for 2 hours from 10 to 12. So we're real excited about that. Blooms the Clown's going to be there from 11 to 1 for the kids, so that's real exciting. So after 99 The Hawk leaves at noon, we're going to have 2 or 3 live bands, kind of former students come in. And we're real excited because Mayor Sal Panto has been gracious enough to loan us kind of the band shell that they use downtown in Center Square. So that's going to be shipped up to the high school on that day. And we're going to have that there so these 2 or 3 bands can play. We'll have some basket raffles. We also have the high school football boosters and the swimming and diving boosters. And we're hoping the basketball boosters selling some of their things there. So kind of a real community event while the fundraiser is taking place on the field. So let me just tell you quickly as I kind of close here, our goal for the March-a-thon and the carnival is to raise about $18,000. And the money is going to be used for 2 things. One, it's going to be used for a new drum line for the high school band at a cost of about $14,000. And for 2 sousaphones at a cost of about $4,000. So right now, the March for Music piece, we have raised $10,865. So you can imagine how excited we are and how proud we are of the students in that effort because it's already 2 weeks from the event and they can raise money even after the event. So we're real excited about that. So this really is a day to kind of showcase the commitment to arts education in our school district. And finally, Ms. Luddy and I would like to invite everybody to come out on Saturday, August 8th. We're going to be there from 10 to 2 to be part of this great event. And, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time and support this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sano. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Mr. Reinhardt.
I'd like to ask Mrs. Mill if she could update the board and the public on our summer food service program.
Thank you. As you know, we've had our summer food service program running at Paxinosa and Cheston. It started the week of June 16th, and it's running through August 13th. And we're serving lunch from 11:30 to 12:30 daily to any child who comes from birth to age 18. And they, like I said, they can bring their family members, and we've been serving upwards of 300 students a week. So we've seen a lot of success through the program, and I should say 300 students per week at each site. So over 600 students a week. We've had collaboration from volunteers from our administration, our teachers union, Family Connection, Communities in Schools, and the bus drivers will be volunteering the final week. So a great deal of collaboration from a lot of different parties across the district, and really providing a great service to our students and our families.
Any questions from anyone? Finally, I'd just like to welcome back Mr. Obie, who has been on an extended leave this summer due to circumstances beyond his control, and obviously you were held, well, I should probably watch my choice of words. Mr. Obie works in the New York
State
Department of Corrections, and given the circumstances that occurred a month or so ago, that impacted on your availability here. So we understand that completely. And of course, Mrs. Price is now with us after a stay in our 50th state. Yes. So welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Reinhardt. At this time, I'd like to add an addendum to the agenda under number 13, Buildings and Grounds. Letter B, approval for environmental abatement firm. Letter C, approval of land surveyor firm. Miscellaneous at this time, we will be hearing from 3 people who would like to be appointed to the Easton Public Library. First, we have Mr. Lake. Yes, sir.
Good evening, thank you. The last time I was in front of speaking to the Board of Education was my last year of teaching. I was running a senior option program, and I had 10 seniors that were doing all kinds of different things for half their day. And we were telling the board, talking all about it. It just kind of brings back a lot of memories, just kind of being here again. I'm a retired school teacher. I taught 37 years in middle school and high school. I'm also a former Army National Guard officer. I spent 8 years full-time and part-time, retired as a captain. I've lived in Palmer Township for over 30 years. I have 3 children, all graduated from Easton High School. 2 of the 3 played in the band, so I'm very familiar with what you're doing, and I've been to a few of those over the course of time. I remember the fruit sales very, very much. After I retired, about 8 years ago, I worked for Barnes & Noble for a few years. And then I started looking around to do some volunteering, and I was in the library, and I was talking to Stephanie, who was the librarian in charge of Palmer, and one thing led to another, so I started volunteer teaching. I taught science and computers when I taught. I ran a gifted program for over 15 years. So we decided that, well, maybe there's a need for me to do some volunteer teaching in the world of computers. So now I teach beginning computing, advanced computing, beginning internet, advanced internet. I teach Facebook, I teach email, I teach Kindle, and I forgot one, Nook. And I'm looking maybe to get into some Twitter this year with Stephanie. I have to sit down and do some things with that. The Easton Area Library, for all the years that I've lived here, have been an integral part of the family. My wife is a former teacher, and she is now a director of music at the local church here in Easton, and has been for a long time. We use the library a lot. We've instilled we hope, a real understanding of what the purpose and what a library can do for you. When you walk in the door, it's like a portal to so many things you can do, so many understandings of adventures and vacations and reading and all the different things we can do. We've instilled that in our children, which have also instilled it in our 4 grandchildren. I would like the opportunity to do some more things. So I about a year or so ago, I put a letter in and said if there was a need on the library board, I would like to serve. And so that's what I'm asking you to do. Thank you very much.
At this time, we have Miss Brem. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
It's Brame.
Brame.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Maureen Brame, and I was approached by Mrs. L. Heath to apply for one of the positions. I would be applying for either position. I'm a 16-year resident of Palmer. I have a Bachelor's of Science in Early Childhood Education, and I did teach in the Harrisburg City Schools and also in New Jersey in Highbridge District. And after teaching for 10 years, I was very fortunate to be able to stay home with my young children. I have a son who is 13, and I have twin daughters who are 11. I recently, within the last 5 years, did go back to nursery school teaching, very wonderfully different from public education. But I am currently teaching Monday through Friday mornings at St. Andrew's Nursery School. And I'm very passionate about that and working with very young children, as my degree is with very young children, birth through age of 8 in Pennsylvania. I became very involved with the Easton Area Public Library again when my children were young. The programs, ever since the fall of 2002, when my son was very young, the programs there were a great outlet for stay-at-home moms. They do a lot of wonderful programming. We still attend programs to this day. They're involved with Miss Katie. She and I brought something called letterboxing to the public library that she still utilizes in the summer. And I was also involved with the Moms Club of Easton in bringing Xantha and Rocco's memorial bench to the downtown branch. In the spring and fall of 2012, I became involved with volunteering at Bethlehem's Cops and Kids Room. It is a wonderful reading room that allows anyone to come in, children through adult, but anyone to come in and receive, I believe their standard is the same as ours, 3 books for free every time they come and visit the reading room. And I worked with another volunteer named Judith Dickerson to bring Cops and Kids reading room to Easton. We opened in June of 2013. I did not get the numbers for you, but we have given away thousands of books. We are open at the Easton Area Community Center every Thursday during the school year from 11 to 7, but in the summers we have a shortened program of 2 to 5. We are open every other Saturday. That's something that I just love to do, love to be able to give those children books, and I still collect and volunteer a lot in the Palmer area to donate books to that program. So that's what I can hopefully bring to the board. Thank you.
Last but not least, Ms. Ramirez Lewis. Did I say that right?
That's correct. Yes, thank you. Good evening, board. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come and talk to you a little bit about why I'm interested in a position on the EPL board. I too was encouraged by Ms. Ellen to apply for one of the positions. I'm currently a research librarian at Lafayette College. I've been at Lafayette for about 8 years now. And I really feel that the connections that Lafayette has had with Easton Public Library now have been very positive, and I would love to be able to continue that and to create even more connections between both our organizations. A little bit about some of my previous experience. Aside from being a librarian, I was a board member of Judith's Reading Room, which is for nonprofit literacy group out of Bethlehem. Very similar to Cops and Kids. It's a similar kind of program, though we do different kinds of activities for the community, and we're also international. So we're not just working nationally and locally, but also internationally. I guess at the core of why I'm interested in applying for this is because I'm a firm believer and have always been a firm believer in the power of libraries and the power that our public libraries have to create community for our members. I, as an immigrant and as a Spanish speaker, am particularly interested in creating a community space for our Spanish-speaking families, for our children, and to create more programs that they can come to the library. To this, I've actually approached one of the children's librarians, Ms. Barry Steiner, and since last March, we've been doing an Hora de Cuentos, which is a story hour every month, where we invite Spanish-speaking families, or not exclusively Spanish-speaking families, to come and listen to stories. We do activities, and we encourage the children whose parents really badly want them to learn to speak Spanish and retain their familiar language to embrace Spanish. but also giving the parents an opportunity to learn and embrace English, because many of them are also learning English at the same time. So, with that said, again, I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I will always be a supporter of Easton Public Library. Jen does an incredible job, and the staff there is nothing but welcoming, like the other folks that have spoken. It has become a center for my family, especially for me and for my 6-year-old daughter, who were avid users of the collection.
Thank you. At this time, I want to thank the 3 candidates for coming forward and wanting to take on this responsibility to help our public library. Now it's a hard task for the board. We have 2 positions available, or 2 seats available, and we have 3 seemingly great candidates. At this time, I would request a motion to appoint one of these individuals to serve on the Easton Public Library Board for 1 2-year term, effective July 1st, 2015, expiring July 30th, 2017, and appoint one person to serve on the Easton Area Public Library for 1 3-year term, effective July 1, 2015, expiring July 30th of 2018. Do you have any motions?
Let's start with a motion for Mr. Lake for the 3-year term and Mr. Ramirez Lures for a 2-year term.
We have Ms. Ramirez Lures for the 2-year term, Mr. Lake for the 3-year term. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Congratulations, Ms. Ramirez Lures, Mr. Lake. Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, at this time, we're moving to letter E. May I please have a motion to appoint a district treasurer who would actually be reappointing Mr. Simonetta from July 1, 15 to July 30th, 16, in accordance with Section 404 of the Pennsylvania Public School Code. Would anybody like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Simonetta?
Sure.
Look, everybody wants to do that. Second motion, Mr. Fainall. Second, Mr. Buscemi. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Simonetta. Letter F. I'm looking for a volunteer and to appoint that volunteer as a voting delegate for PSBA Delegate Assembly meeting coming up. Is anyone interested in doing that this year?
Frank? No, I need to check the schedule, but I may be able to. I'm thinking of saying I need to check the schedule too.
Yes. This is October 13th.
Yes.
Did we put this off? When do they need to know the delegate's name?
Yeah, it's the end of August.
So how about if we could appoint one, and then hopefully we can work it out. And
Do we get 2 or 3 up there?
I thought it was one.
One voting.
One voting delegate.
You can take the whole right side of the board if you want.
What some people do, what I've done in the past, is they don't stay for the whole conference. They just go down for the voting meeting and participate in that day, so you don't have to take the whole 2 or 3 days for work for that. I will say that it's a great conference, and I encourage whoever the vote delegate is, whoever the voting delegate is, to spend the whole time.
One individual is the delegate, but the board, a board, can send as many individuals as they would like to go, send to the assembly. I guess that's how it works.
Right. We just need to appoint somebody to send the name down
Yeah.
this month. Can I have a motion to appoint one of these gentlemen, and then if the one that's appointed schedule doesn't work, you can work it out with the other one and see if we can get them in there? Is there a motion for either Mr. Fainall or?
Just real quick, I'm reading and it says each PSBA member entity is entitled to have at least one voting delegate.
Would you like to
Tells
go?
you can have more, so if Bill doesn't want to do it,
Yeah.
you can have more than
I-
one. At least
I'd like to
one.
nominate
I
Mr.
think it's always
So,
tradition.
just in case you're wondering.
Yeah, I wasn't. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Monahan to,
I will not second that.
Let's go with a nomination.
I have a nomination for Mr. Fanel, for Mr. Vandenberg. Is there a second? Second. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Fanel. Number 4, we have no communications. Number 5, reports. As listed. Letter G, contract with Shawnee PTA has been pulled from the agenda this evening. CIU 20, Ms. Price.
There's no meeting in July.
Thank you. Eastern Area Public Library, Ms. Price.
The main thing is that we just got our trustees.
Very good.
And I believe that the air conditioning is fixed. Or it's getting fixed? Getting fixed.
CIT, Mr. Snyder, Vandenberg, and/or Ms. Price.
Yeah, a few things. At the July meeting, the committee recognized the solicitor John Sloan for 30 years of service to CIT.
Starting before.
And they did. They have selected an architect for the masonry lab and electronics lab expansion. And just a note that the August meeting has been moved to August 20th as opposed to being on March 13th.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. NCC, Mr. Fanel.
No report, no meetings until later in August.
Thank you. The Foundation for Eastern Schools, Mr. Bouchard.
I got an email from Kathy to let us know that they just received another $2,500 grant from the TV Charitable Foundation for the Sizzle Literacy Day Camp. And so far the foundation has raised $3,000, $20,500 for another grant donation to fund the program. And they also approved 25 teacher grants totaling $12,000 so far for the 2015-2016 academic year. And now they're ready to go to their research concert on November 22nd. Tickets are on sale, and we're inviting everybody to come join us for a great event. Tickets are $20 each. It's going to be held in Bangor.
Letter F, Charles Schrein Science and Technology Initiative, Mr. Monahan.
We have not had a meeting, so no report.
Thank you. Letter G, Legislative, Mr. Fanel.
Nothing to report, except that we still don't have a state budget, basically. And the negotiations are continuing.
Thank you. PTA, Ms. Robertson.
I'm here in your stead. All of the PTAs are currently planning for the start of the school year. There are a number of new fun activities planned. Cheston is going to have a watermelon social, which will be held during open house night. They're also planning a movie night in January and a bike derby with an ice cream social for the spring. Tracy Elementary will have a booth at the Palmer Days coming up August 19th through the 23rd, and there will be kid-friendly games and prizes. The 5-6 PTA is going to be part of an informal walkthrough on August 21st from 8:30 to 10 a.m. and Locker Day August 28th, 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. And she also asked me to bring up two things of interest. The last one on the PTAs, neither of which will be a surprise, I'm sure. We're still waiting to hear from administration, obviously, about a final call on volunteer policies. And until then, we're just basically operating business as usual. We should be doing otherwise if someone could inform us now. And then there are also just a lot of questions regarding the fifth grade move back to the elementary level.
That's a quick comment. You know the law that just changed again.
Yes.
We're going to take a while to figure it out.
Right. So I knew that the next committee meeting was supposed to be September. So, thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anyone from EAEA or bus drivers, right? All right. We have no standing committee meetings held in July. Number 7, is there anyone from the public who would like to be heard on agenda items only? Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes from standing committee meetings of June 10th and June 17th and our regular meeting of June 23rd?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? May I please have a motion to accept executive session report as listed?
So moved.
Second? Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Number 10, may I have a motion to accept letters A through P, number 11, A through Q?
So moved.
Second? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Buildings and grounds, may I please have a motion to accept letters A, B, and C under 13?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No one asked.
Okay, thank you. If I could just speak to that, Mr. Romali, I want to thank you for implementing new things since you've come on to the district as our head police officer. Just with the parking resolution that we now have adopted, are we going to send something out to the parents before school? Just so, the parents are aware and...
The procedures for the parking resolution will be distributed with every parking tag that's given out at the high school this year.
Thank you. Finance, can I have a motion to accept letter A and B?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 15, public to be heard on non-agenda items only. Seeing none. Number 16,
No, I'd
any
like
other?
to.
Oh, sorry, sir. Please come forward and sign in. State your name.
My name is Joseph T. Martino Jr. I live at 420 North Greenwood Avenue. I'm here for two reasons. First one, I have in my pocket something that is probably not familiar to most people in this room. It's called a credit card. Credit card. There are people in this district that would like to pay their taxes with a credit card. Now, the following people already accept that. The U.S. government, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, PP&L, MedEd, I can go on and on and on and on. I was told I've been trying to get to pay my taxes with a credit card for 2 years. I was just told recently, Mr. Martino, Eastern Area School District is now going to accept credit cards for your taxes. I get my tax bill. I look into my tax bill for a jurisdiction code. There's no jurisdiction code. I called the girls in the office. They told me, Joey, listen, they've decided that there's not going to be enough people to use it. I guess they're psychic, so they know this. I'm the one who is responsible for getting Palmer Township to use it. I own multiple properties in Allentown and Bethlehem. The Allentown School District accepts credit cards. The Bethlehem School District accepts credit cards. But Easton, and you're joined by Phillipsburg and Wilson Borough, they're also in the Stone Ages. Is there a reason for this? Can somebody explain this to me?
I can just say we met with the taxpayers. Mr. Martino's been here, has been asking for a while, and we talked about meeting with the taxpayers from all the municipalities. We did meet, we talked for over a couple of meetings, and it was really the recommendation of the taxpayers to continue as is. Tax collectors, I'm sorry, tax collectors. To continue as is, as they didn't feel that the...
Who's they?
The tax collectors
The tax collector.
didn't feel that the participation was worth the change at this time.
Do you know?
I believe this, did
Go ahead.
Mrs. Shando, respond to you?
I don't know. You know what? I didn't write any. I was so happy. I go on 6 to 8 vacations a year. Why? Because I can. Okay? I don't like spending my own money. I'm cheap. Okay? I get air miles. I pay airfares, I pay for rooms, I pay for car rentals, whatever. And it's to my advantage to pay with a credit card. Everybody here, I'm sure, has one, and they use them. And I just think the Eastern Area School District, along with Phillipsburg and Wilsonboro, are still in the Stone Ages. And is there anything that I can do about it to possibly get this?
I mean, we can revisit
It's the district's advantage. You get the money the next day. I know the district. I mean, I know you're swimming in money, and it's not needed. If I move to Arizona and send you a check for one of my properties, it's going to take 10 days to clear. So you don't have the use of that money for those 10 days. Okay, Mr. Reinhardt stated that you're cleaning and repairing your schools for opening. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Are there 7 elementary schools in the district?
Yes.
How many of them have air conditioning?
Not all of them. There's only several buildings that are air conditioned in our schools.
There's 2 of them that have air conditioning, from my understanding. 5 of them that don't?
Yes.
Is there a reason for that?
There's a reason now why they don't, because at this particular point in time, the district couldn't undertake that kind of commitment, financial commitment, to get that done. I can't speak for what happened prior to my appointment here, but that is a problem for us. Absolutely, it's a greater problem for our students and our staff members.
Do you think?
Excuse me?
Do you think it's not? I mean,
No,
what
no,
are we
no.
doing about it?
Well, we're doing all we can. In fact, tonight we're going to be talking in just a few minutes about renovations and a rather large project at Paxnosa School. But we have places in the district that adding air conditioning to our schools would be a tremendously big project, even if we chunk that up. So it's also a very large financial commitment. And I don't believe anybody here on our board is happy about the idea that our schools are not air conditioned. I can assure you of that. You know, we would not disagree on the desire to see that our kids and our staff members are working in air-conditioned environments.
Well, I can understand that, but still, it's a problem. You have 5 schools. Can you do 1 a year?
We are tonight going to be working on Paxnosa School, that will be 1. Whether or not we can do 1 a year is going to be extremely difficult for us to project at this time, but I can tell you that no one is preventing that from happening. That because they don't think it's necessary. It's my point. People would join you. Well, our board members who
They don't think that air conditioning.
No. That's not what I said. Nobody believes that it's not necessary. You know what I'm saying? That everyone joins you and anyone else in the concern about air conditioning in our schools. But once again, that has to be something that's decided carefully given the financial circumstances we're in.
Well, everything is all about the money. We all understand that. But I think that should be a priority rather than in the back, in the back seat or whatever.
So it is up for discussion. It's something that the board is interested in, as well as the administration. Again, as many of the members here have been in less than 4 years, we can't tell you why task force have not done it. We haven't done it because of the financial issue that we're in. That is something that is being discussed and looked into. We are thinking about it. We do know it's a necessity, and as soon as we have that information, the public will know about it.
well, that's okay for now.
Thank you.
We're gonna hold people responsible.
Absolutely.
We want to know what is going on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to be heard on non-agenda items? Hearing none. I'm sorry, Mr. Grice. Josh, if you please come forward. I forgot Josh from Dewey Engineering. I just wanted Josh to come in and give an update to the public, to the board. We took our walkthrough. There was a few of us who took the walkthrough from PAX. We saw the scope of the work that's been needed for many years, and we're happy that we're able to get to it. The scope has increased a little bit with work that needs to be done. So I asked Josh to come in just to update the full board on, the increase in scope that we're going to be voting on next month for the RFPs for the architecture to start this process.
Sure. Thanks, Ron. Good evening. Last time we had spoken in this forum with Paxinosa, we did have a list of items from the capital plan. Those were basically items that had been sort of discussed over the years with the conversion of that building to an elementary setting, but they were more focused on the actual infrastructure of the building, mostly the mechanical system, some of the electrical components and those types of things. What we found after sitting down with the administration and with the principal at Paxinosa, really talking about the needs, especially with moving the 5th grade class into that building, that had an impact with how certain spaces are going to be used, and created some other complications with the renovation of that building. So that coupled with just a general feel of when you go in and start doing work in a building, we want to make sure that the end result is satisfactory holistically. That we don't go in and replace certain components and fix certain things, but over the next 20, 25, or 30 years of that building, the components that weren't upgraded as part of that original scope can be questioned. Well, why didn't we do it at the time? And ultimately what happens is, to do that later, it's going to cost you a lot more than it had up front. So in a nutshell, that initial sort of infrastructure scope was approximately $12.8 million. Again, with some of the programmatic changes, with some of the other finished replacements that would be considered, and some bid alternates. In other words, if you would choose to, say for the auditorium, if you choose to renovate the auditorium completely, it's not necessarily tied directly with curriculum, but as a nice community space, something to consider. That's identified as a big alternate. So those types of things, we did identify approximately $6.5 million of additional potential work, recommended work that could happen to really bring that building, up to basically a renovated condition. Not necessarily complete renovation with knocking down every wall and every space, but a more holistic renovation, both from an infrastructure, mechanical standpoint, and from how the building is actually going to be used from curriculum and with the administrative spaces that are needed in that building. So ultimately, we're looking at an approximate subtotal construction cost of about $16.4 million, and with the soft costs included, the total project cost of about $19.4 million. And again, that can be adjusted based on alternates that are identified. Certain things can be pared down. So again, that's sort of an all-in type number with a more holistic renovation.
Josh, obviously bids could come in lower than 1944. With,
yes.
With that
yes.
stuff.
And the other thing to consider, and again, it would be included in the capital plan. If you were to look at, you say, well, man, that's a lot of money to put into a building that's already, there and functioning. But just to consider for a building that size, if you were to totally renovate, in other words, really tear down the interior walls, kind of start from scratch, with the interior replacement, that would be approximately $27 million to complete all of that work. So we are looking at a scope that's not to the point of a total renovation, and certainly not to the point of a complete building replacement. In other words, if you were to construct a new building of that size and with those features, in today's dollars would be approximately $46 million. Okay, so again, we do recognize that it is an investment. It's a pretty substantial investment, but when you consider the options of the total renovation or the new construction, still provides you with the best value overall.
Thank you, Josh. Is there any questions for Josh at this time? Thank you, Josh. We appreciate the update. And again, the committee that we appointed for this will meet on the 11th. On the 15th, we will have a public meeting. Should be advertised this week. 18th, pardon me. We will be having a public meeting where the 3 architects who are bidding for this assignment will come and publicly give their presentations and their costs. On the 28th, at the regular meeting, we will be voting on the architect that we select. At this time, may I have a motion to adjourn? Motion. Second. Discussion? All those in favor, aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.